Welcome to ACCA Financial Management Post-Result Batch December 2021 by Rizwan Maniya. This is your tutor. This is a financial management reset orientation session that I'm conducting here. So many of you right now in the session are the one who may have given exam in September and they could not pass in September, right? So why you were not able to pass? Now this is what you need to understand, why you were not able to pass. You did the hard work, but at the end of the day your result was not good enough to ensure that you pass, right? So don't worry, there are certain flaws obviously, and you must learn the flaws. You must know where you are going wrong. What are the problems? You must know the problems, right? So for that, this is the session where I will definitely be guiding you. What are the key problems? What are the key issues? What are the mistakes that one can do and how to overcome those mistakes, and how Rizwan Maniya and VIFHE will help you to overcome these mistakes for December 2021 batch. So let's begin. So first of all, let me tell you that we will have a very good query session at the end of today's session. So just hold your questions and I will answer all your questions at the end. My teaching experience is more than 13 years. My areas of expertise include performance management, financial management, and advanced performance management. I am into this field since more than 13 years. I've taught so many students locally in Pakistan and internationally as well. And fortunate to conduct so many webinars for ACCA Pakistan from ACCA's platform and also from the VIFHE's platform. Many of my students have secured positions as well. So all this I'm telling you so that you can trust the tutor. You should know the expertise of your tutor, because you need to trust someone, okay, and you can follow the guidelines. So this is what my profile is. Now, let's move on to the next slide. This is my WhatsApp number. Those who are new to the session, just note down my number. Just WhatsApp me anytime you want to. You need to ask anything about paper combinations and whatever, you can WhatsApp me. Secondly, there is, if you are not paid yet, okay, if you are not paid yet, so you obviously are not in my paid class group, and you still want the support, so WhatsApp me. I will even share the general WhatsApp groups, the general groups I have, in which you can be part of for the free support. That will also help you. But those who are paid already, they are in my class group and they are following all the plans and everything that we offer to our paid students. So I'll give you the details of that later on as well today. Passing ratio. Very good passing ratio. For September 21, it is a very good passing ratio. 52%, the highest among all the skill papers. I think taxation and FM has the same passing ratio. So continue the good work. Students who have passed, it is very good that this passing ratio means that you have a very bright chance of passing exam in December 21. If you continue the hard work like the one previous students did, so you will be successful in December 21. Moving forward to the next slide. You know the paper structure. And I'm not here to tell you the structure. I just want to raise certain things regarding this. You know that your syllabus is divided into 6 key areas. Starting from investment appraisal, you have business finance, business valuation. You have business finance, other area, that is, one is WAC and the other areas, then working capital risk management. You know the paper pattern as well, that business valuation is tested in section A of your paper and B. Same risk management is tested in section A and B. The rest all are tested in A, B and C. Great. You know this, that 30 mark OTs are tested in your paper. These are MTQs, 3 case study having weightage of 10 marks each with 5 OTs in each case study and 2 constructive response questions of 20 marks each. Fine. The point I want to make here is time management. one of the major reasons is people are not good enough to complete the paper within the given time. So that is why you have to keep this in your mind that this exam, is of 3 hours, and that makes around 180 minutes. And it's a 100-mark paper. So 180 divided by 100, 180 divided by 100 makes it 1.8 minutes per mark. Now, this criteria is very important to remember. It's 1.8 minutes per mark means that the weightage of each mark is of 1.8 minutes. You have to practice more and more to ensure that you are able to solve within time. There are students who struggle in completing the paper and they could not pass. Now, if you leave 5 marks, so your marking will be done on the basis of 95 marks. So, this means you are making your chances of passing less by yourself. That is, you left 5 marks. So, you will get 0 score as far as those 5 marks are concerned. Right? So, make sure you complete on time. Make sure it's 1.8 minutes per mark. I know it's not easy to just check again 1.8 minutes, but you should know that, okay, for section B MTQ, which is of 10 marks each. So for each MTQ, you have 18 minutes. For each MTQ, you have 18 minutes. So you have to ensure that you complete one MTQ in 18 minutes. For section B, 20 marks question, you have 36 minutes. So you ensure that each CRQ is one that you have completed in 36 minutes. So this is what you have to keep in your mind. Okay, for section A, I know you cannot ensure that, okay, you solve one OT in 3.6 minutes. That's fine. But remember, there are certain OTs, those will take more time. But there are certain OTs that will take less time. So you have to average it out. Okay? And this is all practice. The more complete paper you solve, yes, listen what I'm saying. The more complete paper you solve, which means entire paper, which means mocks. The more mocks you solve, the more chance you have to pass in the exam. Because you know what mock does? For example, you have done 20 questions of investment appraisal, 30 questions of WAC, 20 questions of business valuation, 30 questions of business finance. Fine. Good practice. But until and unless you have that expertise to solve the entire paper containing all the topics, requiring multiple skills at the same time in 3 hours, you cannot pass. So that is what matters, You have to make sure that you must solve the entire paper in 3 hours. That's the deal. That's the important thing, right? So the more practice you do using mocks, the more chance of passing will be. It's a very clear-cut message. And at VIFHE, we do offer mocks to our Resit students, to our regular students who join our crash batch. We offer the mock facility and we encourage them to appear for mock. But sorry to say, just 10 to 20% of the students submit the mock. And I don't understand why. You have a facility, you solve the paper in 3 hours, you submit us the mock, we'll check you, we'll give you the feedback. What else you want? That gives you a lot more confidence. So make sure if in the past you didn't solve the mock, you must solve the mock this time. Okay? Second, after the passing ratio and after the paper general time discussion, there are certain flaws that students do make and they cannot pass. So let's quickly look at the certain major reasons for failure. First of all, not understanding question requirement. This is totally relevant for a CRQ question, constructive response. Or even for section A or B, if you didn't understood what is being asked in theory questions especially, because if your theory understanding is weak, you will not understand what the examiner actually wants you to do. So understanding the question requirement is key for passing. So that is why you need to read the requirements thoroughly. You need to break the requirements into examinable verbs and examinable objects. Those who have studied from me before or they are studying currently, they know how much focus I do on the verbs and the objects. The way I break the question makes it very clear that what you have to answer. Okay? So it is very much important to understand the requirements. Secondly, the answer is not according to what is required in the question. Yeah, it's our tendency to write what we want to write rather than what is being asked by the examiner. You write what you know. You don't write what is being asked. Even if you fill pages and pages and pages, if your answer is not according to examinable object, you will not score marks. So it's very important to write what is being asked. Now, as I was saying, that these two are the issues. Other than that, time management, obviously, as I mentioned a lot initially, people are not completing the paper on time. You need to go for mocks. Practice. Whenever you're practicing at home, also just time bound yourself. If you're doing a CRQ, just note that the time. Okay, 36 minutes I have. If you're doing an MTQ question, you have 18 minutes. Just put pressure on yourself. Why don't you put pressure on yourself? Okay? Then do not cover the entire syllabus. I don't know why. You just pick questions on your own. You think that, okay, this will come and this will not come in the paper. I don't know who informs you that. And it comes in your dream. I don't know what is the issue. You can't predict topics. Because after the papers have shifted to CBEs, you can't predict things just because you have OTs. Anything can come from any small area of a book. Theoretical chapters are important, and that's why I always mention to my paid students that these are chapters you must read. Okay? Then poor technical knowledge and failure to closely read the questions, struggling in objective test questions. Yeah, theory is very important. So for that, there are certain chapters that one must read for the paper so that you can easily cover up the things. Right? So I hope this is clear. Now, tips and tricks section wise. Just note down and listen very carefully. When you are doing section A practice, when you are practicing section A OTs, small OTs, cover the entire syllabus, that's fine. Try to solve each OT within 3.6 minutes. I know it's not easy. Certain OTs does take more times. The others will take less time, so you need to average out. Okay? For fill in the blank OTs, it's very important to understand what is the rounding of instruction given in the question. Rounding of instruction, very important. The question says round off to 2 decimal places, work to nearest 10,000, work to nearest hundreds. If you're not aware of that, you will do a silly mistake and you will lose the marks. Question says to round off to 2 decimal places. You don't know how to round off to 2 decimal places, you will lose marks. This is something I'm not saying on my own. This is something your examiner is always mentioning in the reports. That these are the areas where students are struggling. These are the areas where students are struggling. Please, please, please make sure you are not doing these mistakes. Understood? So this is one more area to really keep in your mind. Okay? Read the instructions of rounding off carefully and then do what is required. Then read the question carefully. And for OTs, there are distractors. What are distractors? For example, if it's an MCQ question, so out of 4, 1 is the answer. Now, 2 generally are distractors. 2 generally are distractors. and these two will actually distract you and will not be the answers. So there will be two distractors and two are the statements where you may get confused which is the right one. So the good the concepts are, the closer you will be. And listen, one more thing I need to tell. In MCQ, generally what we do, we look for the final option, the right option. And we try to come to the option which is the most likely one. That's fine. But if you are a very good knowledge-wise student, if your concepts are good, you will know why the three statements are wrong. Rather than knowing which statement is the correct one, it's important to find out why the other three are wrong. Getting the point? Why the other three are wrong, it's more important to find out that. That shows the confidence and the understanding, the level of knowledge that you have. So you should know why the other three statements are wrong and automatically will choose the right one. So these are the specific tips for section A. Note it down and keep this in your mind when you're doing the practice. Section B. MTQs, scenario with 5 OTs. Very important, very important. Examiner is saying that students are ignoring the fact that 5 OTs are connected to the scenario. My friends, you need to understand that there is a difference between section A OT and section B MTQ. Section A OT is an isolated question of 2 marks, not connected to any other things, any other questions. But MTQ, there is a scenario having 5 OTs and the OTs are connected to the scenario. You can't solve these in isolation. You can't ignore this and you can't solve in isolation. So do keep in your mind, VIFHEians, that you must read the scenario and you have to solve according to the scenario. Maybe there is a restriction given in the scenario, maybe some very important information is given in the scenario. That will change your answer. Examiner is mentioning that people are not focusing on MTQs in the way that they should do by linking the OTs with the scenario. Okay? Then again the fill in the blank question here is the one people are struggling just because of the rounding of instructions and time management. 18 minutes. Whenever you practice at home, 18 minutes you have to keep in your mind. 18 minutes. Okay? These are the specific tips for section B. Moving towards section C. CRQs. Yes, the questions, the big questions. You need to understand the requirements. For that, I always tell students to use examinable verbs and the objects. You need to break the question into verbs and the objects. You need to understand the difference between different verbs like state, explain, briefly discuss, briefly define. These are different verbs having different meanings. Each verb has a different meaning. State is different to explain. In state, you don't go into details. In explain, you do go into details. If the question says state advantages of NPV, just state the advantages. Don't go into detail. But if the question says explain the advantages of a NPV, this means you have to explain in a detailed way. You have to tell why this is an advantage for XYZ company. Now the question is of why. Why this is an advantage for XYZ company. If it says to explain the advantage of NPV, then you have to tell why this is an advantage for a company. But if it says state the advantage, okay, fine. Just mention the advantage. Don't have to go into detail. Don't have to tell why it is an advantage. Understanding my point? These are the small mistakes that we are doing and we are not clear about it. Okay? So, Explain is different to state. You must know. I do share examinable verb document with my students. I will share this time as well. And you just read and understand what is the difference. Then in CRQs, theory-based questions, there is commonly used word and. In a question, there is a word and. Now this and basically tells you that there are two parts to this question. Like discuss the nature of rationing, okay, and the solutions to rationing. Now it says discuss the nature of rationing. So examinable verb is what? Discuss. What to discuss is the object, nature of rationing. Fine. So the first object is nature of rationing and verb is discuss. Then you saw the word and solutions to rationing, which means this is the second part. That is, you also have to discuss the solutions to rationing as well. So there are two objects here. Discuss is the verb. First object is nature of rationing and solutions to rationing. So your answer will include two things: discussion about the nature of rationing and discussion about the solutions to rationing. Now, if you wrote about just nature of rationing, you will not score marks because your marks are splitted between the two objects. Depending on the level of details given and level of detail required, the marks are splitted between the two objects. So even you wrote so much good about nature of rationing and you didn't touch solution, you will not get complete marks. Examiner knows I have to give 3 marks for nature, that's it. This is maximum I can give here. Understand the marking scheme. Understand the examiner's mindset. Okay? So yes, look for the extra requirements. Look at the number of marks as I mentioned. If there are 2 objects and it's a 6-mark requirement, a general division would be 3-3 for 2 objects, maybe 2-4 for 2 objects. I know we don't know exactly what is the split. Fine. But if you just break into different objects, as I mentioned, nature of rationing and solution to rationing, so maybe 3 marks on an average. So you at least get an idea, okay, this is for 3 marks and this is for 3 marks. I need to write for 3 marks at least for both. Okay. So learn the art of marking scheme. Learn to break the question into different parts and look at the marks and just split and make it shorter and smaller and smaller and smaller so that you can attempt each and everything. This is mainly I'm talking about the theoretical CRQs where people struggle in writing the theory. Okay. So note it down, break the question into verb and objects, look at multiple objects, this and will differentiate it, look at the marks and split that between the objects to see the weightage. Complete in 36 minutes. Whenever you practice, make sure that you solve in 36 minutes. This is what you have to do. This is the time to practice section A kit, section B kit, CRQs. Okay. For spreadsheet answers, because a lot of spreadsheet is required in FM paper like NPV calculation, VAC, business finance, working capital. So your spreadsheet answers should be very carefully structured and clearly set out. Proper reference to workings should be given. And I do focus a lot in my live sessions. When I solve past paper questions, I do tell, okay, this is how you have to refer the things. So you have to learn this, how to solve on a spreadsheet. Clear workings should be there with proper references. Okay. Then write for theory, use simple English, not big sentences, difficult things. No, simple to the point English with the use of different short paragraphs. For different objects, use different paragraphs. For example, as I gave you example, nature of rationing in a separate paragraph, solutions to rationing in a different paragraph. So examiners will get to know, okay, these are the paragraphs for different objects. So it makes it easier as an examiner to read and mark the script. Okay? So the simple in short paragraphs you will write, it makes more sense. But don't write in bullets. Okay? Don't write in bullets. So these are $1 million tips, to be honest, for section A, for section B, for section C. Just note it down and practice according to these instructions. I hope this will definitely improve your skills a lot, right? Now, general tips overall, there will be easy marks available in every section of the paper. Easy marks are there. Easy OTs in section A, easy MTQ in section B, easy requirements in CRQs. Yes, the entire paper can never be difficult. That's why I always say, solve mocks. The more mocks you solve, the more practice you get to cash on easy marks and leave the difficult ones, then coming back on the difficult one. It's a game sort of a thing. Something is difficult, leave it, move on, solve easy marks, then come back to the difficult areas, because it's a CB paper, because you have a navigation option, because you can jump easily between the questions. Okay? You have this option. Right? So there are easy marks, and students who miss out on easy marks, they are creating difficulty for themselves to pass the paper. Right? So this is very, very, very important. You need to practice for section A, B and C so that you pass. Right? So go for easy marks. I always tell in my live classes, where are the easy marks? Okay, this is what you do, you had easy marks. For example, NPV, you need to work out selling price, inflated selling price, 2 marks on an average. Inflated variable cost, 2 marks on an average. Inflated fixed cost, 1 mark. NPV, 1 mark. Very simple things are. If you look at 2 to 3 questions marking scheme at the end, you will understand, okay, 2 marks for this, generally 1 mark for this, 2 mark for this. You get to know, okay, these are the easy marks. If I quickly do these things, I can get half of the marks very easily. It's just all psychological, my friends. The easy you take things, the easier it will be. And to be mentally stable and at ease in the paper, these are the days where you need to practice a lot. Okay? I hope these tips will definitely help you to improve your studies and the practice work in these phases. Now, I need to quickly brush up. If those who are new to the session, watching this for the first time, if you join VIFHE, you have 2 options from today. You can, in fact, 3 options. You can join my December Resit batch. If you could not pass in September 21 to 20 reason, and you plan to give in December, join the Resit batch. You can join in Urdu, you can join in English language, whatever suits you. Okay? The second option is, if you think that things are fresh in your mind and you just need a quick boost, so you don't want to come in the Resit batch, that's fine. You can join the crash batch starting from 5th. Join the crash batch, which is a shorter course with less topics, important ones only. This December Resit, the first option, is a one where you have everything. But crash is of limited topics. So you can join the crash batch. But if you think now you don't have time, or you are tired of giving FM, you want a break or want to focus on other paper, you can join the March batch, March 22 batch right now. And study in a proper way, give yourself more time. Okay? So whichever batch you go into, either the Resit batch or the crash batch for December or the March batch, these are the services we offer you. We have recorded sessions of all the areas using Learning Glass technology, well animated, clear, good quality lectures. Then live classes. Obviously, those who will come into December batch now will be able to take 3 live classes. Those who come for March will be able to take 6 live classes. But the crash students will not get the live class. Okay. E-notes will be given to all of them. Testing based practice thing will be available to the students. It's a testing platform where you can practice hundreds of OTs. Any student can use the testing platform. Okay. Mock exams, yeah, whether you come for December reset or March complete batch or crash, mock is part and parcel of that. Mock is part and parcel of that, along with grand revision. So these are the services we offer, and our services are very different, to be honest. The way we track the students' performance, our TAs are working every time with the students, helping them every time. We have the WhatsApp groups where we have the TAs and we do track performance. We show you your performance, how many lectures you have seen, how many lectures you have watched. It's not a joke. You can ask any of your colleagues, you will get to know how VIFHE teaches. And that's why we're able to produce really good results. And this time we had a very good result of financial management exam. Okay. So this is what you have to keep in your mind. And this is how we will teach you. Now, those who will join, let me tell you, as I mentioned, the options. So the first option is the December reset. So those who want to go into the reset batch, okay, they can go for reset. Number 2, those who want to go into the crash batch for December, they can come into the crash December. Those who wants to go in March 22, so they can register themselves for March 22 as well. So those who are planning in December, these are the options, but I would recommend to come in this batch, which includes lot of content, in fact, the entire content. Okay. So we will share a complete planner with this December research student, how to cover up things in 25 days till 15th of November, how to cover up the things, how to cover up the lectures and everything. Okay. Even those who come for crash, we will also share the plan for crash students as well from 5th of November. Okay. For March, obviously, we'll share a plan for March as well. Okay. You have to see my webinar or the previous webinar, and also I'll be conducting a new webinar as well from 22 of November. So previous webinar is also what you have to see. So in our plans, we have included the previous webinars as well, okay, along with the other content, and the new webinar will be held on 22 of November. Then followed by mock and grand revision. So whether you come for reset or crash batch or March, you get this facility. Obviously for March, this will be for March students, but for December, they can attempt these in December. So there are 3 options. So if you're interested, please let us know. I'm sharing the number of our coordinator. Yes, I do agree that a lot of traffic is right now. So we might be late in responding you a few hours. So please just be patient because of the traffic. So do allow us time to get back to you, but we will get back to you. So this is the number of the coordinator, 923323378435. If you are interested in either the reset or the crash or the March batch, the coordinator will give you the payment details, the fee structure and all, and you can get into the batch and start your successful journey with us. Okay. So the differences of the fees will all will be mentioned to you by the coordinator. I've made this very clear, but yes, it's important. If you could not pass, you must take either the reset or the crash batch. But my recommendation is, if you're going for December, come into this one. This will better take care for your needs. But if you think you know majority of the things, you can come here as well. Okay. So be there. We'll be solving a question. Take care. Bye.